All right, man, peace. So, brothers, this is going to be volume 5 in the series, Kobe Bryant Still Lying to His Fans. And for so many of you fanboys out there of Mr. Kobe Bean Bryant, I know that you get annoyed with each and every edition of this series, but it's necessary because it's always pertinent. This dude is a pathological liar. Is he an all-time great NBA basketball player? Absolutely. But the main aspect of his narrative concoctions that never cease to amaze me is the level of disassociation. This dude sometimes forgets certain aspects of historical facts that he himself acknowledged in the past. Keep in mind, of course, what I'm referring to is Kobe Bryant's statement that had Shaquille O'Neal trained as hard as he did, that they would have 12 championships. That's a bald-headed lie. We all know that, because there's no way in the world that Kobe Bryant was going to be willing to play with Shaquille O'Neal for 12 years, especially knowing that he was going to have to take the secondary role and at best be an equal partner. He was never going to be willing to do that. He has stated that and admitted that on record many times. And even if you want to say, well, he was being hyperbolic, okay. If we're just going to check the facts, Shaquille O'Neal arrived on the LA Lakers in 1996 and immediately made them a title contending team. He turned them into a 60-plus win team, and that also coincided with Kobe Bryant's rookie year, where he pretty much was a non-factor. He provided a little flash here and there. He won the 1997 Slam Dunk Contest. He was viewed as being a player who was going to be on the rise, kind of a can't-miss prospect, but he was not very effective in his rookie season. In his second season, the 1997-1998 season, Kobe made his first All-Star team despite not even starting for the LA Lakers. He played behind Eddie Jones, who also made the All-Star team that year. The Lakers flamed out in the playoffs, but it was not Shaq's fault. Kobe came up short yet again. As we all know, the year before when he was a rookie, he shot 3 straight air balls against the Utah Jazz. I'm not going to hold that against him. He was the only player on the team who was willing to take those shots. In 1999, the Lakers fell short again. It was never Shaq's fault those first 3 seasons that Kobe Bryant played alongside of him that the Lakers did not win the championship. It was Kobe's fault as well as the supporting cast, but number one, it was the lack of championship level coaching. Because the championship level coaching that Phil Jackson brought in the 1999-2000 season is what elevated the entire team, especially Kobe. It limited his bad decisions, and that was one of the best all-around team seasons that Kobe Bryant had in his entire career. A very slept-on year he had in their first title run. He played immaculate defense, he moved the basketball, and he understood when to take shots. The year after that, they won the championship again, and then, of course, in 2002, they were able to three-peat, even though they pretty much robbed the Sacramento Kings at the behest of the NBA and the referees. The 2002-2003 season, the Lakers lost, I believe, in the Western Conference Finals to the San Antonio Spurs. That caused them to totally retool their team. They brought in the aging legends Karl Malone and Gary Payton. The prognostication before the season was that that team, the 2003-2004 LA Lakers, could possibly challenge the Chicago Bulls for the all-time win total in the regular season. They fell woefully short. Whose fault was that? All you have to do is check the stats. Kobe had one of his worst statistical seasons in his career. And even though they played in a heavily defensive era, he basically faced no double teams because he was out there on the floor with a great dominant player in Shaquille O'Neal, 2 other legends, even though they were aging. It was very rare that Kobe Bryant did not have a one-on-one matchup. But he wanted to sow his wild oats. He wanted to claim his throne while Shaq was still there, which would fully manifest itself in the 2004 NBA Finals, where pretty much the Lakers lost to the Pistons in 5. It really should have been a sweep had it not been for a 3-point shot that Kobe Bryant made, I believe, in Game 2 to send the game into overtime where they won. But in Games 3, 4, and 5 in Detroit, Kobe Bryant was terrible. Tayshaun Prince pretty much locked him down, and the Pistons knew that despite Kobe Bryant claiming that he understands the game of basketball so well, he's a sucker. Meaning what? Especially at that point in his career, you could get Kobe Bryant into 1-on-4 mode because he truly believed that he was his team's best offensive option, rather than moving the ball and establishing the other players on his team to make them offensive threats and hopefully open up some things for him. He wanted to go 1-on-4 against arguably the greatest defense of the modern era, the 2004 Pistons, because he wanted to win the MVP award in those finals. If he was not going to win the MVP award of the 2004 NBA Finals, he didn't want his team to win. The only way that the Lakers were going to win the championship is if Kobe Bryant moved the ball, and he decided that his own selfish lust to win an MVP award while Shaq was still on the team was more important than winning the NBA Finals. And that's the reason why they lost that season in the NBA championship round. Of course, subsequently, even though many Laker fans or Kobe Bryant fanboys will deny this, Kobe went to Jerry Buss and basically made him make a decision, which wasn't the first time that Kobe Bryant threatened to leave the team or try to leave the team. He made it fully understood that he did not want to play with Shaquille O'Neal again, so they moved Shaq to the Miami Heat. That was it. Shaq and Kobe played 8 seasons together. They won 3 championships. None of their losses, and when I say their losses, I'm referring to not winning the NBA Finals that season, were due to Shaquille O'Neal. They were overwhelmingly due to Kobe Bryant trying to make everything about him. He is a chronic and a very intense narcissist, and also, once again, a dude who at best disassociates from reality. I call him a pathological liar because that's what I believe he is. And I'm not quite sure if he does it maliciously. I just think that he's so stuck in his own world that he starts to say things that people go along with because the cat is very articulate, he's very eloquent, and he's taken on this moniker of being a basketball Yoda. All of a sudden, he's this wizened figure who teaches players how to play the right way, when he pretty much did not do that for the majority of his career himself. It is what it is. Of course, they're going to talk about it. I'm going to chime in.
Shaq and Kobe are the modern-day Ross and Rachel. One day they're bros and loving each other, and the next day they're on a break. It's been pretty vanilla between the two for the past few years, with both guys showing a lot of mutual respect. But Kobe might have ruffled the feathers again after he made these comments at a recent convention in Vegas.
Who would Shaq be if he had your work ethic? He'd be the greatest of all time.
And let me say this, I agree with Kobe there. If Shaquille O'Neal had Kobe Bryant's sense of intense work ethic, he would definitely be considered the greatest player of all time because, as I've stated in other videos, I believe that Shaq left a good 7,000 or 8,000 points on the hardwood floor because he was not as committed to his conditioning as Kobe was. Now, do I believe that Shaq left any championships on the floor? I'm not quite sure about that, at least not with Kobe. People have to understand this, and Shaq, in the aftermath of his career, because he's become known for working alongside of Charles Barkley and Kenny Smith and Ernie Johnson on TNT, he's kind of a clownish figure. But when Shaquille O'Neal played, he was one of the most impactful players in the history of the NBA. The Orlando Magic came into fruition or came into existence, I believe, in 1989. Shaquille O'Neal was drafted in the 1992-93 season. By his 3rd year, he took that team to the NBA championship round. Of course, they lost to the great Hakeem Olajuwon and the Rockets. But every team that Shaquille O'Neal played on, from 1993 all the way to 2006, was a championship contender, either favored to win the championship or in the top 3 teams for consideration. That's what he did. I don't think that he left any championships on the table because even by 2006, which was the year of his last championship, that was his 14th year in the league. So he was around 34 or 35. And with the way in which Shaq plays, he was never going to be a Kareem Abdul-Jabbar who was able to play until he was 40. Kareem was a finesse player. Shaq was a high impact player. He was never going to be that guy who was going to still be averaging 23, 24 points a game at 38, 39 years old. It just was not going to happen. So he was going to be done by 06, 07 regardless and hang on for a couple of more seasons. So to just reiterate, do I think that he left any championships on the table? No, not really. Maybe 1 or 2 more he could have gotten in Miami had Dwayne Wade not gotten hurt in 05 and maybe had things not totally gone to shit in 07. But other than that, Shaq pretty much maxed his career out when it comes to winning. Now, Kobe Bryant is a person who should look in the mirror and say, had I done this or that, maybe I could have won more championships. But once again, he's been able to mystify the public. He's been able to convince his fanboys that he's better than LeBron James and that he's even better than Michael Jordan. And once again, as I've stated, that he's this wizened, high-level intellect when it comes to basketball, and all these players should come to him to understand the game, blah, blah, blah. If you pay very close attention, most of the players who come to Kobe Bryant to learn how to understand the offensive game go back to their own teams and destroy the camaraderie and the chemistry on their own squad.
If Shaq had your work, he'd be the greatest of all time by sure. He'd be the first to tell you that, for sure. I mean, this guy was a force like I have never seen. He did not care. He was mean. He was nasty. He was competitive. He was vindictive. I mean, he was, yeah. I wish he was in the gym. I would have had 12 rings.
Kobe, you know damn well you were not going to play with Shaquille O'Neal for 12 years. So knock it off. Once again, you guys lost one championship that you could have won. That's in 2004, and that was all your fault, as you yourself admitted when you sat down with Shaq and you spoke about that 2004 championship run when you played against the Detroit Pistons. You were terrible in that series, and nobody talks about it at all.
I'm to say the turning point in their relationship was when they got into a fist fight. His teammates thought he was crazy to take on the big fella, but apparently Shaq respected the move. Regardless, you know the big Aristotle will have something to say about this, so stay tuned. Let's get you back to first take.
Nabil, appreciate you. No, that was some good sound. You heard Kobe saying that Shaq being out of shape cost him, what did he say, would have like 12 rings? Well, Shaq responded saying you would have more chips if you passed the ball a little bit more. Stephen A.
And he's correct. Shaquille O'Neal is referring to 2004.
Kobe's comments, fair or foul?
Kind of foul. And
Very foul, but I expect that. Once again, Kobe is a pathological liar. He's not even aware of his own lies.
it's not a big deal because I've known both of them well for a long time, and I know how deep this goes. And the only reason I say it's foul isn't because of what Kobe said, because Kobe know this. Kobe said nothing that he has not said to Shaq to his face.
I agree with that, and that's some credit that I will give Kobe Bryant. However he feels about you, you're going to know.
Yeah. Everything that he said, he has told Shaq to his face. And even I had to tell Shaq in the past, look, man, he knows Big Mac. Shaq was addicted to Big Macs. I'm trying to tell y'all right now.
We all know that Shaquille O'Neal was not someone who really took his physique that seriously or his training as seriously as certain people would have liked. What's funny about Shaq, though, is that even though he's remembered for being a fat boy, for those of us who go back to the very beginning of his career, in 1992 when he was first drafted, all the announcers ever spoke about was how low his body fat percentage was. A lot of them were hypothesizing about whether or not he had 5% body fat, 7% body fat. He was viewed as being this extraordinary physical specimen when he first came into the NBA, along the lines of a LeBron James.
Kobe would be out there working his butt off, working in the gym a whole bit. Shaq was like, I'm ready, I'll be ready to go. And Kobe walk into the training room for a game, and Shaq is munching on some big man.
You're doing all that cardio.
Shaq big boy, man. He's 7'1", 350, and love some Big Mac. He's like an addict, okay? So that would just drive Kobe crazy.
Yeah.
That would just drive him crazy.
Did it really drive Kobe crazy? Or was it just a way for him to project his jealousy over Shaq being the alpha on the team? Many times people claim that something about another person bothers them, and it's really just envy.
Kobe has always been incredibly honest about how he felt to Shaq's face, okay? But here's why I say it's foul. Because the animosity that existed between those two, particularly when they were in the finals against Detroit with one another, was so real. I'm just trying to tell you, it was I can't go.
And then, of course, we all know that when Kobe Bryant was accused of sodomizing that white girl over there in Colorado, the first name he brought up was Shaq's name. So they claim that Kobe's good under pressure. He wasn't good under pressure in that police precinct. That's for damn sure.
Details about how bad it was and how bona fide hatred existed, okay? I can't tell you some of the things Shaq wished on him. I can't tell you some of the things Kobe probably wished on Shaq. It was very bad, right? But y'all met, y'all sat down, y'all discussed each other's careers, where you were, how enlightened you were, because how you thought about certain things, certain ways, etc., etc. And it led us all to believe everything with y'all is cool. Everything with y'all is great, etc., etc. And then something like this happens, and you know Shaq gonna come right back at it, because Shaq ain't taking that lying down. And then it just revitalizes and brings up stuff that y'all both swore y'all will pass. Now, knowing Kobe the way I do, Kobe still passed it. He just answered the question. Yeah.
Yeah, Kobe doesn't give a shit. Once again, he lives in his own atmosphere. Right now, he's, as I've stated, he's some type of holistic basketball expert. He walks onto the basketball court probably dressed in all white with incense, and he's going to bless all the young players with knowledge. As I've already stated, all these dudes that go out to Kobe Bryant's quote-unquote Mamba Academy, they always go back to their team and bring all types of discord and chaos to the squad. Other than Giannis. For whatever reason, Giannis has been able to learn from Kobe and escape a lot of the energy that he inserts into his pupils.
But Shaq
came back at him
that?
on IG already,
Yes.
saying you'd have 12 if you passed the ball in the
Yes.
finals against the Pistons. Look, it's not foul what Kobe said at all. It's totally fair. When someone asks you what would Shaq be if he had your work ethic, that doesn't mean Shaq doesn't work hard compared to your average person. It means he didn't work hard compared to Kobe freaking Bryant, whose work ethic is legend. I picked the Pistons to beat them and all. I thought the Pistons were going to sweep them that year. I was surprised the Lakers got one game because I was paying attention in the conference finals when the Pistons and the Pacers played the greatest defensive series I ever saw. And
Yeah, that series that the Pacers played against the Pistons, that really impacted the NBA because I believe David Stern saw that and said to himself, our league is getting too defensive. All those games were finishing in the high 60s, low 70s.
was jumping up and down with no lateral movement because he delayed getting the surgery on his foot, and that pushed back his conditioning, et cetera, et cetera. Kobe was mad about that. Now, did Kobe not pass the ball? Yeah, of course. Kobe was not perfect, but that wasn't the question they asked Kobe. You think it's foul for Kobe to say he'd be the greatest? Shaq would be the greatest. Like, Shaq's like the 5th greatest player of all time. Kobe.
Not quite that high. I would probably put Shaq definitely in the top 10. I wouldn't put him 5, though. At number 5, I have Larry Bird. But Shaq is definitely up there. Kobe is not even top 10. And his fans get very upset when I say this. But Kobe is not above Shaq. He's not above Tim Duncan. He's not above Hakeem. He's not above Wilt Chamberlain. He's not above LeBron. He's not above Larry Bird. He's not above Magic. He's not above Bill Russell. He's not above Kareem. And he damn sure ain't above Michael Jordan.
He'd be the greatest player of all time, easily, if he had my word. That's foul. It's a compliment, if anything. Look, when you talk about, like,
It's a sideways compliment. Really what Kobe was saying is that Shaq cost me championships.
Of life, who's won? Who would you like to, if you couldn't be yourself, you had to be someone else, who would you be? Shaq is on a short list. He's lived, as you would say, Molly, his best life, right? Everyone loves him. He's the movie star. He's been a rapper. He's an NBA champion, one of the greatest ever. He's always the biggest dude who ever walks in the room. He's legitimately charismatic and funny, and everyone loves him. Shaq
is not funny. Shaq is goofy. There's a big difference. Charles Barkley's funny. When you listen to the repartee between Barkley and Shaquille O'Neal on their show Inside the NBA, it's a funny guy going against a goofy guy. That's why Shaq gets so emotional when Charles says certain things, because he knows he doesn't have the wit to keep up with Barkley.
Winning at life. But sometimes to be the best who ever did something, you have to sacrifice some of those other things in your...
Not sometimes, all the time. Not even to be the best. Just to be successful at something, you have to sacrifice things. You have to sacrifice relationships. You have to sacrifice hanging out. Things of that nature. You cannot be impactful in whatever you're trying to participate in or immerse yourself in to become a success and not give up things and sacrifice things.
Kobe was willing to. I wouldn't rather be Kobe than Shaq. But if you want to say who got more out of their abilities, Kobe is on a short list of greatest players of all time, and he shouldn't be compared to Shaq. Shaq was the post-Michael Jordan. I've seen two guys who I've looked at and I said, could he be as good or better than Jordan? Shaq is one, LeBron's the other. The answer in both cases is no.
Well, those are certainly the 3 most impactful players of the last 30 years. Michael Jordan, Shaq, and LeBron. Kobe's right underneath that. He's on the same level as Tim Duncan, but Tim Duncan is better than him overall.
Shaq fell shorter than he should have compared to Jordan because he wanted to live a great life, which he has. That's sacrilege. Like, if you're not willing to be a maniac to the level Kobe Bryant is, and Kobe's asked, what if this guy who's a top 5 player ever was a maniac to your level?
And when I say impact, I'm referring to overall greatness. Literal impact, that would be a different list. That's when you have players like Stephen Curry and Wilt Chamberlain, Michael Jordan, etc., who change paradigms. They cause paradigm shifts in the NBA. But if we're using the term impact and it really means greatness, in the last 30 years, as Max Kellerman has already asserted, it's Michael Jordan, it's LeBron, it's Shaq.
Then he would have been the best player ever. How is that foul?
Because Max takes it in a different way than it's going to be absorbed by most of the masses. And typical Max Kellerman style, he ignores almost everybody else because he's fixated on himself. Here's what I'm saying. Let me explain. Shaq knows that when Kobe said what he said, Kobe being the brilliant individual that he is, nothing's
Brilliant as in diabolical.
brilliant. You're not going to remember if he had my work ethic. What you're going to say is Shaq's laziness caused X, Y, and Z.
Ding.
That's how it's going to be interpreted by the basketball masses, which is why Shaq clapped back on Instagram. Because Shaq is like, you know good and damn well what that kind of statement means. Even though Kobe Bryant was answering the question, like you said, and being completely honest and forthcoming and candid, as he always is, he don't give a damn. Kobe gonna let you know where he stands.
Oh, absolutely. He's going to be transparently diabolical. Because Kobe actually convinces himself of his own lies.
Kobe did not. Kobe has told Shaq this to his face while they were playing with each other and beyond. So let's be clear about that. But Shaq knows after sitting down together, squashing it, talking about it was all PR and marketing and just trying to do everything they can to smooth that over and move beyond that. A statement like this is going to remind folks that Shaq didn't put that work.
Wait.
That's all.
I don't think Shaq was foul either. Shaq's telling the truth too.
I didn't say Shaq was foul.
They underachieved together. Those two were so great that they three-peated and underachieved together. And the proof in the pudding is, as soon as Shaq left, he won another championship.
Right, but is Shaq winning another championship in Miami proof that he and Kobe underachieved, or is that just proof that their time period came to an end? It's easy to view the Kobe-Shaq tandem from a two-dimensional perspective and say they should have won more championships, but at the end of the day, they probably won more than they should have won, because in 2002 they were not as good as the Sacramento Kings, but the NBA helped them out. In 2003, when the San Antonio Spurs improved the basketball IQ and the talent level of their backcourt, we saw what happened to the Lakers. They lost to the Spurs because the Spurs were the smarter team and they finally got some experience as well as some talent in their backcourt, which they did not have the year before. That's why the Lakers were able to scrape the San Antonio Spurs for 2 straight years. San Antonio just could not compete with them in the backcourt. But when they added Tony Parker and Manu Ginobili, they beat them in 2003. In 2004, San Antonio probably should have beat them again were it not for that miracle shot by Derek Fisher. So people talking about the Lakers should have won more championships with Shaq and Kobe, they're lucky they got the 3 that they got, because they really should only had 2. As I've always stated, the Lakers had the dumbest dynasty of all time. Their 3-peat team, they were so dumb, they were very fortunate that their opposition was not really very good. They faced the Pacers, who were a very good, borderline great team, but full of aging stars. I mean, Reggie Miller was like 35, 36 years old, as was Chris Mullin. Mark Jackson around that same age, probably around 33, 34 years old. He was already slow. In 2001, they faced the Allen Iverson Philadelphia 76ers, a team that probably should not have even made it to the finals, but somehow they got there. I thought Toronto was better than them, but Vince Carter was more focused on being a mama's boy than winning a championship. And Milwaukee got jobbed by the referees in the Eastern Conference Finals. And then in 2002, they played the Nets. So the Lakers, they had a very easy ride once they got to the finals. They had a lot of competition to get there, but once they got there, the teams they faced were easy.
And then Kobe won 2 more. They won altogether 3 championships without each other. So what would they have done together?
Max Kellerman, you have to understand the main reason why Kobe and Shaq were able to win once they separated is because they needed room to grow without each other. Shaquille O'Neal, to me, the real story about Shaq's career is not whether or not he should have won more championships with LA. It's could he have won championships in Orlando had he stayed.
Shaq have been in better shape at times? Should Kobe have passed the ball more? The answer to both questions is yes. They're 2 of the greatest players ever. They're one of among the greatest combinations ever. But they didn't do as much as they might.
TNT, led by the great Ernie Johnson, is going to have some segment in the future, this upcoming season, when Barkley and Shaq, typical to form, are going to be going at one another. And when that happens, Barkley is going to remind him of what Kobe had to say.
Absolutely, no doubt about it. And then Shaq is going to get upset. He's going to remind Charles Barkley that he never won a championship. And they're going to go back and forth and argue like two brothers sharing a bunk bed.
And guess what? It's going to be interpreted exactly the way that I'm telling you. When I
agree.
Shaq, in the near future, I promise you, it's going to be interpreted exactly the way that I'm saying. And Kobe knows it. That's all I'm saying.
We have to go to break. So you feel like this isn't just all fun right now with these two?
No.
Oh.
I don't think that it's malicious. I just think that it's Kobe Bryant stating how he has trained himself to believe. Kobe knows the truth within his heart. He knows that if we're truly going to take an inventory of how things transpired in the late 90s, early 2000s, he's more to blame than Shaq. But he's a brand builder. That's why I've stated he's done a great job mystifying the public. Just sitting back and acting like a man of mystery, speaking with perfect diction and articulating his words immaculately. He's been able to convince people that he's someone other than what he really was. Like if you listen to Kobe Bryant talk about basketball or anything else, you definitely get the vibe from him that he's an executive at a corporation and that when he played basketball, he must have played like Larry Bird. Like he always made the perfect decision on the basketball court. But in reality, he was a shot jacker who often shot his team out of as many games as he shot them into games. Do I believe that he was an all-time great? Of course. Kobe Bryant's a top 15 all-time great player, no doubt about it. And if we're just talking about raw talent, top 5, maybe top 3 all-time. When we talk about tangibles and intangibles, maybe even top 2, maybe right behind Jordan, who knows? That's probably a list for me to make one day. If we're just talking about the all-time great players who were gifted. You have Jordan, you have Iverson, you have Kobe, a few other guys. That's a list for another day. But once again, if we're just going to observe and analyze the actual factuals, Kobe cost them much more than Shaq did.
I thought it was like this is over and
I'm not saying
the beef's over and they're just having fun and playing around.
Listen, I'm not saying there's something's going to come from it between the two. They are what they are. But make no mistake, Kobe wasn't playing when he said it.
Got it.
And make no mistake, Shaq wasn't playing when he said it.
You ever see the end of the movie Life? Right, where they're at the Yankees game at the end, still bickering with each other. That's going to be Shaq and Kobe. They're always going to make up, fight again, make up, fight again. That's the way it is.
Well, they'll make up and fight again and bicker through social media. Kobe's never going to hang out with Shaq. They have two different brains. And that's why they were always at odds with one another in the locker room. Shaq is a goofball. And no disrespect, he's kind of a basic type dude. Kobe is definitely an intellectual. There's no doubt about that.
Fun for us, two of the best that ever did it. All right.
But anyway, that's basically it on that. That was Volume 5 of Kobe Bryant still lying to his fans. This season is up and coming, so who knows how many more lies Kobe Bryant's going to be spewing to his fan base over the course of this next year. So peace.